Hello, Vanakkam, and welcome to Sudarshan's podcast. I have Mr. Arvindh Sundar, who's a marketing coach and also wannabe comedian and a good friend. We met at a restaurant bar like 3 months back, maybe.
My God,
Like when it happened, Arvind.
I don't know, man. I mean, when you're my age and shit flies by so fast. So yeah,
Mm. Such an amazing person. He born in Dubai, I guess, and he have an interesting story to talk. Right? I forgot kind of. He been in like different countries, and now he's in India. He's in Bangalore now,
yes,
and you know what? Like I can like one of a kind. I mean, he's one of the kind, right? Such an interesting person who got like 200x of energy when I'm like very sluggish after my work. Like I finished my office, like left my place at 6:30 and reached Kor. I live in Whitefield, right? So I reached Koramangala like 8 at the night. Then met Arvind. Like I'm already 6'1" and Arvind is like 6'4".
yes, but I'm not hunching. So
Yes.
yes, yes,
Yes, 6'4". Yep. Yeah, we have a lot to talk about marketing, personal branding, and he's a master at it. Yes, we'll talk about that. This is some basic context about like how I know Arvind and stuff. Hey Arvind, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me here, Sudarshan. I am super duper excited. And for all the listeners, I'm going to be sharing one story sometime towards the middle about the time where about Vikings and how I almost became a Viking. I think that'll be a fun story to share. I think another story about ADHD. I think that'll be fun as well. So we'll pepper that in every now and then. And the one fun thing that I've done when I was studying in Manchester, and it is the one thing that I wish my wife or my parents never find out about. So I'll be sharing that as well.
Oh yeah, cool.
All right, let's
Right.
dive in.
So like, yep. So let's give them a context about who you are, like, and what you are doing.
Right. So I'm I run my own business, and the main idea is that I help first-time founders set up their businesses. Right. I have a specific process which I've developed because of my love for gaming. And what I do is I work with them one-on-one, and I help them set up their businesses. The funny thing is, I arrived at this business through a variety
Mm.
of experimentation and a lot of
Okay.
uh, failures and a lot of challenges. I've been in marketing and communications for a long time now, but I actually started off as a developer of all things. I was in chemical engineering back in like 2006. Typical, got recruited into IT, but then I was bored. And I believe my project manager had asked me to wear shoes and said, "Do not wear jeans." And I'm like, you know what? Yeah, chuck it. I'm quitting. So I quit that job on the spot. Obviously, I was very naive and dumb. Slightly less so right now, but back then it's quite challenging. And I'm like, you know what? Let's try to find out something else. So I drifted into advertising. I did events. I did door to door sales. It was um, it was a zigzagging career, right? And I was just jumping from one to the next interesting opportunity. One thing led to another, and the company that I had quit from, they hired me back, and they sent me abroad to the UK to. Okay, this is like back. Like I'm completely dating myself right now in the sense that this was the time when they needed somebody to build websites using CSS and not tables,
Mhm.
right? So I'm talking about the time when we had like CSS 1.0 or something coming
When
out.
is that exactly?
2007, 8, around that
Okay.
time.
Okay.
And this was a pretty big deal because when I was outside, I was browsing this thing called the internet, and I was using Notepad to write out website and CSS code. That was good, and that gave me the skills, which got me hired again. I go to the UK, and I'm like, hey, I like this place. It's nice and cold. Please note, like I was in Bangalore, right, at that time as well. But back then, it was nice and chill, not like how it is right now. But UK was much colder, and I like the snow. I'm like, that's it. I'm going to go and work over there. So I go there um, and worked for a while, came back, got into Manchester Business School. and did my master's there. Came back again, became a professor in
Now you need to reveal the story, then go back to the,
which
the
story?
thing you want to reveal.
I forgot. So
Yeah.
another cool thing is I have ADHD. All right, and
Okay.
I didn't know about this until like maybe like 2.5 years ago, and it was a very difficult situation. And many people might be experiencing various manifestations of what they think is ADHD. But until I went to a psychiatrist and I got diagnosed, I didn't know this. And looking back, I'm able to understand why I behaved in certain ways. But that obviously led me to have like some of the most interesting stories, right?
Okay.
So back in the UK, this is that interesting story that I wish
Okay.
my family would never find out. So one of the biggest challenges with ADHD is that we're constantly searching for people with ADHD, right? We need a level of dopamine. We need that feeling of excitement. And in the UK, there are a variety of outlets for you to get that dopamine rush, right? So things that are normally illegal in India, or at least hard to
Cool.
participate in,
Mm.
it is not the situation there. So I discovered it. I'm not going to go into specifics because I want to leave this, to the lurid and the very sordid imagination of the people who are listening and watching this. But I developed an interest in a certain frowned upon activity, especially in my household, and the money that I had taken to last me for an entire year of studies in the UK, I spent it all in about 2.5, maybe 3 months, and I still had to survive for the next 6 months. Um, I got kicked out of the place where I was staying before, and I'm like, what do I do? So I had to develop new revenue streams. Right, I had to find a way to make money. First source of money were Chinese students. Now in the UK back
Okay.
then, there were many many Chinese students, and they're all like ridiculously hardworking. At least the ones that I knew, they had a work ethic that just amazed me, left, right, and center. Unfortunately, they were not as gifted with communication skills as I was. Their English was not their primary language, and they struggled to write reports. So I started a report writing service where they would give me their research material.
How much
And
you charged then in
uh,
2008 or
this
9?
this is like 2008, right? Just when the recession was starting.
Okay. Mm.
I would
Mm.
charge like £100 for an overnight paper. I would charge
Mhm.
£50 if it was like for like across 3 days, and if I had like a week, then I'd charge them like about £15, right? So I had
With
like
100 pounds, like how much, how long you can
I
stay
lived
in
like a
UK?
king, man. So this was like the
Oh,
if you've seen that old movie, Annamalai, Rajnikant movie,
okay. Uh-huh.
that was the sort of situation. I had more money than I knew what to do with, right? So,
Mm.
but I still needed to get rent and find a place to live. So I had some source of money, but I did find that there was this one place where they had different, like three different tenants were living in a house, and one was from Cyprus, uh, one was from Greece, and the third girl was from China. And I told them, listen, I will become your housekeeper, sort of a thing. I will cook, I will clean, I'll take care of the house. Just give me a room to stay in. And they were okay. And again, that led to certain other experiences that are definitely frowned upon here. And I was like, hey, I am living the awesome life. And I must go on record to say that this was at the time when my wife and I, we were dating. We were not yet married. And as they say in France, we
In
were on a
UK.
break. Yes. She was here in
Mm.
India. I was working abroad, studying abroad. So,
Mm.
yeah. So ADHD got me into. Okay, the best I can probably compare it to is a book written by Karan Bajaj called Johnny Gone
Okay.
Down, like a diluted version of
Okay.
Johnny Gone Down. That was my life, and that
Mhm.
was awesome.
Okay.
Did there, came back, did a whole bunch of stuff. I became head of marketing of an edtech
Mhm.
startup here in Bangalore called
Mhm.
Jigsaw Academy. And after a while, I'm like, I'm done. So I'll have to. I couldn't hold on a job because of ADHD, right? And so I ended up
Mm.
saying that, hey, you know what? I'm going to start up. 2019, I struck out. And within like about 2 months, I became broke because I had no clue how to run a business. So I took up consulting. learned a lot more. And then in 2020, pandemic happened. I know most people hated the pandemic, but for me, it was heaven sent because I didn't have to wear shorts. I mean, I didn't have to wear full pants. I could wear shorts. I could sit
Mm.
at home and I could make money just working from my computer. The dream that I had of location independent business that have finally happened, thanks to the pandemic. That thing picked up again, a lot of mistakes, a lot of learnings. And now I'm in this avatar of a business coach, but a lot of other
Yep.
exciting developments coming up as well.
Yep. I have a question now. How is
Please.
it feeling to earn in dollars and spend in rupees?
I wish I could say that I was earning enough, to
Mm-hmm.
make it like really, really nice. But please note that I'm not a tech guy, right? Like techies today,
Mm-hmm.
even people who are in tech adjacent fields like UI, UX, design, um, it's much easier for them to finish a project and make some sort of money. Whereas this is a business which relies more on the human connection. It doesn't pay as much as that. But do you watch Hindi movies, Sudarshan?
I do rarely watch, yeah.
Okay. So long ago, there was a movie called Luck by Chance, in which there was a song called
Okay.
Sapno Se Bhare Naina. In that, there is a
Okay.
line which says, Sukh alag hai, chain alag hai,
Mm-hmm.
which translates to
Okay.
happiness is different, peace is different. Okay.
Mm.
I am one of the happiest people that I know.
Mm.
Okay. I play video games in the middle of the day. I take my daughter to and from school. I play badminton with her. I go to the gym. And when the rest of the world is sleeping, I am sitting up and I'm doing calls. Right. So um, that is a life that has been designed with intention. And but it's not like I see friends of mine, right? I see people I know who are like making 4 crore salaries, 5 crore salaries. I'm like, I wish I had that. Like my end goal in life is like a fraction of what I want to do. But
Mm. Mm.
like Mark Manson says, right? Everybody gets to choose
Okay.
the flavor of shit sandwich you want to eat. I have chosen to accept a lower income thing as opposed to
Mm-hmm.
high pressure alpha thing. But hey, I have great hair. I have a lot of fun, and I'm going to be playing video games right after this call, which very few people can do. So yeah,
Mm.
that's where I am.
Right. Right. So you told people that you help founders and
Yes.
you are a marketing coach. Let give them a context about what put the player first.
All right. Yeah. So put the player first is my framework, which is designed to reframe any sort of a transformative, any sort of a growth situation into a game like situation with like monsters and weapons and loot and level up. Anything, whether it is, you want to do weight loss, whether you want to be a better spouse or partner to someone, whether you want to build a business that serves your customers well, whether you want to learn a new language, any sort of a growth journey, any sort of a transformation can be reframed into the structure. And the way it works is, it's very close to what video games, like the video games that I enjoy, action RPGs like Diablo 1, 2, 3, 4, or Dungeons and Dragons work like, right? In the beginning, you have a hero who's stuck in some sort of a broken world, and they're beset on all sides with monsters. The hero wants to leave this broken world behind, and they want to get to this place called paradise, a place where there are no monsters, a place where they're happy, a place where it is, they have everything that they want, but they're not able to go there. They're not able to leave that broken world behind and get to paradise because of the monsters that are there, and the hero is not powerful enough to defeat them until one day they meet a guide. And this guide is not an ordinary guide, right? This guide has some sort of a war that they have declared on the big bad evil guy, and they have some sort of a superpower. What the guide tells the hero is, Macha, don't worry. I will take you from the broken world all the way to paradise. All you have to do are these series of quests. The hero, they agree and they go on these quests. And for each quest, what the guide does is they create a specific weapon designed to defeat a specific monster. The hero They use this weapon to defeat that monster. And as a result, they get loot and they level up as well. And when they finish all of these quests, right, in a loop, all the monsters are defeated. And as a result, they're now powerful enough to leave that broken world behind and reach paradise, right? So this is the structure for most of the action RPGs. Like, I mentioned that, but you pretty much any sort of a game. But the same thing, you can apply it for let's say weight loss, okay? Because that's something that I've been struggling with. So I'm the hero in this situation, and let's say my personal trainer, he's the guide, okay, Ritesh. Now the monsters are my muscles are weak. I have more curves than the average woman, and I have no ass. Like my gluteus maximus is absent. Right. So let's say these are just some of the many monsters that ail me in terms of my strength and weight loss journey. Or maybe let's say add in diet, right? So Ritesh comes in. He's got like his biceps are like as thick as my thighs, which is definitely saying something, right? He's a short guy, but he's built like a freaking barrel. So he's like, oh, okay. So for this, we have to do A, B, C, D. So first he'll, set up a, sir, पहले आपका muscles को activate करना पड़ेगा. That's what he said. I love the guy to bits. So first, he would design. That's the first quest, which is to activate muscles. Second quest is to start building strength. Third quest is to, do a proper diet plan and stick to it. Fourth quest is to like start lifting weights so that I can become like a duplicate Ajit sort of a thing, right? So these are all things that we planned out. And once we finish this, right? So once I have executed all these quests, loot would be like the external rewards, right? So I would lose a couple of inches, I would lose several kilos, I would fit into smaller clothes, right? So those will all be like nice external rewards. But intrinsically, I would have completed a hard thing. I would have gotten a lot more confidence. I would have been calmer. I would have been stronger, right? So these are all internal transformations. Weapons are the products, services, ideas, networks, worldviews that I can get. So in terms of the guide Ritesh, my personal trainer, the weapons that he would give me are specific exercises, a diet chart. It would be, WhatsApp check-ins. He's like, sir, when are you coming today? Have you woken up? Blah, 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 shit like that, right? So all these things to help me achieve this goal. So for me, my broken world is a world where I am unhealthy, I am fat, and there is a chance of me dying soon, and I won't get to see my daughter grow old. Whereas paradise is, I go from like, I can walk around a beach without a shirt, without feeling conscious. I mean, it's not that I feel conscious, but without, offending other people for indecent exposure, right? So this is me practicing stand-up comedy. It's too much work. I have to sit down. But yeah, so that's the other end of the spectrum, right? So I would go from here to there.
Arvind, are you like following or friends of Praveen Shekhar?
Is he the bald guy?
So,
I don't
sorry?
think so.
Yeah. The bald guy with the mustache.
He does a lot of Tamil stand-up, right? I think I met him.
I don't know whether he do stand-up, but he's a marketeer.
Okay.
He have like similar frameworks, right? Like I spoke to him like a couple of years back.
I see.
As interesting as you. But I mean, like he has similar frameworks. He wrote like 4 or 5 books. And all of them are like very thin, but has like similar frameworks. And people who's looking at the videos, if you check Arvind's background, there is a Drishti doll, right?
Yes.
Drishti mask kind of a doll, right? So even Praveen has a similar book there. I mean, he has a book named something evil or something. Such an interesting dude, right? Arvind, like if you didn't check, definitely please check his work.
Definitely
very interesting. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
The reason I have
because whatever you're talking, right? Like it is. Sorry.
No. Go on. Finish that. I'll continue.
No, like whatever you're talking, right? Like that is more similar to what Praveen's approach in marketing and things.
Oh, super!
Yeah.
Thank you for that. Speaking of these Drishti Bombais, right? So you know how I said that there are different monsters. Personally, I found that it's been quite beneficial for me to give shape and form to the different monsters that plague us, right? I'm by no means perfect. I like to imagine that I am, but I have a lot of shortcomings, and definitely a lot of anxiety, and a lot of problems that I have to overcome for my own personal growth. And I have three of these, one, two, and another one behind me, to remind me that these monsters are real. Because when we have these monsters, when they're inside our head, they're like Dementors from Harry Potter. They don't have a fixed shape, just like a cloud of smoke, and that'll just expand and completely mess up your thinking. But when you can capture those monsters and give it a shape and form, when you can label that beast, then as my friend Satya says, right, you have to name the beast before you can tame the beast. So that's giving it shape and
Wow.
form. Yeah, Satya is a great guy.
Mm,
He's in
right.
Coimbatore actually, and
What is he doing?
he is right now heading marketing for a company called Logbase, which is focused on
Okay.
helping Shopify customers make a lot more money, right? So Shopify store
Okay.
owners
Cool.
make a lot more money. Yeah, but yes, so that's
Yeah.
why I have that.
Yes. So for listeners, Arvind has his free marketing course, right? Whatever we spoke, right? The put the player first framework,
Yeah,
the monsters guide, paradise, loot and everything in between, right? He has a marketing course, and in that he talk about everything in detail. That's
yes,
an like very small course. That will take maximum like 3 hours to finish, I guess,
yes,
or
yes.
more than that, Arvind. Yeah, three
So,
hours, right?
so
Uh,
that's yeah. It's called marketing for builders, and the idea, it
mhm.
starts with if you are building something, whether it's a business, whether you are a software developer, a coach, whether you're building out your personal brand, it's the fundamental idea is presented there. Like, hey, what do you actually need? And to get started, the first video, I mean, they could just go to puttheplayerfirst.com, and right over there, it is like the big ass front and center video. I could say hero video, but only you and I would probably get it, you know.
Yeah. Yes. So you also consult people to create their content and like build them authority. Is that right?
Oh, absolutely. It's one of the easiest and the most fun things that I ever do.
Easiest and the fun thing,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
Okay. Okay. Like we discussed before recording, right?
Hmm.
Let's take myself an example, right?
Absolutely.
I'm like doing this podcast for last 3 years, and this episode will be my 62nd episode.
Okay.
Yep. So what I'm planning is, this is just a vague idea of what I'm trying to do for the next 1 year. It might work, it might not, but I'll give you a challenge now, right?
Yes.
So if I want to um, build a personal brand for me
Hmm.
as someone in SaaS,
Hmm.
as some authority in SaaS, right? SaaS. So, like, how should I plan my content for next 1 year
Okay.
with the podcast and everything? Like, since I do podcast, I have already a little name in podcasting side.
Hmm.
So, with that, like, how can I plan my next 1 year of content?
Right, right. Thank you
This
for
is what
asking
you do with
this.
your clients, but yeah,
Yeah, this is
I'm getting a free consultation.
absolutely Vaja. No worries. Okay. So there are many ways that we can approach this, right? The most tactical thing is I'm like, hey, here are three different ways you can create content, but let's not do that because that's going to be like low value stuff. The first question is, how do you define a personal brand and what do you want it to do for you? Go on, tell me that.
Personal brand. Okay. I'll tell you. If I look at you, I'll tell you as someone energetic,
Mhm.
someone who is mastered marketing, and someone who is very tall. So this is how I define you,
Okay.
and this is what I feel personal brand is.
Okay.
Right? Yeah.
So how do you want your personal
Like when
brand
I
to
look at
help
you,
you?
what are the three things come to my mind? Yeah.
Sure, no worries. And how do you want your personal brand to help you?
Yeah. So tomorrow, maybe down the line, maybe 5, 10 years, so like maybe 2, 3 years, right? If I wanted to get into some senior roles
Right.
and like maybe start my own company,
Sure.
that might help me to get better employees,
Okay.
get funds
Sure.
easily. Not
Get
easily,
clients as
but
well.
it will get clients as well. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Awesome,
Yep.
awesome. All right. So, for the purpose of our discussion, I'm going to define a personal brand as a situation where people know you for something in particular. Okay. Now, you know me for being a fun guy, very tall, but that's because of the context in which we were meeting, right? Let's say if we were interacting on Twitter, then you probably know me as the small business coach. If we were interacting on Instagram, you probably know me as the D&D guy, right? If you're interacting with me one on one, you probably know me as something else, right? So a personal brand is built on a set of particular channels. You can have multiple, but you don't want to confuse them, right? So you want to be known for something in special, right? So in particular, you want to be known as a subject matter expert. Okay. Now let's say in the SaaS space, if you do want to build out that sort of an expertise, don't get me wrong. Let's say in a hypothetical situation that you don't have any sort of expertise because you're just starting out in your SaaS journey or your UI UX journey. So for you to be known for something is going to be pretty hard. However, we can easily bridge that gap by borrowing other people's authority and credibility. And one of the nicest ways to do that is what you're already very good at, which is podcasting, right? Now, the idea is, again, we're going to be using the put the player first framework over here, okay? If you want to be
Cool.
known as a subject matter expert, the question I would ask you is, who is your hero? Who is the person that you want to take from the broken world and all the way to paradise? Let's brainstorm. Who do you think would be a good fit?
I I don't really understand.
Okay, no worries. Let's try this again.
I am the hero, right? Here.
No, God, no. No, 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 no. Okay, that's a very, very
No.
good
Okay.
thing.
Okay.
So, first rule of business is nobody cares about you. Okay, it's going to sound
Mm.
very brutal, very hard, but the customers, they care about themselves. They care about their problems, they care about where they're stuck, and they care about how awesome their life could be. And your job is to help them, help your customer go from their broken world all the way to paradise. So your customer is the hero. You always put the player first,
Cool.
right? So you start with the player, that is your
Mm.
customer, and you build your entire thing around that. Now, for that to happen, what we need to be sure about is what is the sort of people with whom you want to be known as a subject matter expert. Okay.
Mm.
To me, now, based on what you said at a very high level, I would say it sounds like you would want to be known as an expert in the SaaS community. Okay.
Yep.
Now, SaaS community again is a pretty large space, right? Within that, you could have
Yep.
founders, you could have designers, developers, product managers, investors. So you
Yep.
could always keep on slicing further and further below, right? Do you have any thoughts on that right now, Sudarshan?
No. Let's keep it generic.
Okay. So the thing with generic is you could get some good attention, right? Because it is generic, it is applicable to all. But because it is applicable
Yeah.
to all, everybody's like, it's not for me, right? For example,
Yeah.
like basis what we were doing before this call, right? We were setting up
Mm.
OBS and all that.
Mm.
If you
Yeah.
saw a video on just, hey, how to make your audio sound better, right? That would be like a very high surface level article versus
Mm.
the top 3 OBS plugins you need to install on your laptop today. Now, based on your new
Mm.
knowledge,
Mm.
that would be something that you would be like, oh shit, this is perfect for me, right? For me,
Yeah.
I'd be
Yeah.
looking at, so the more like the more laser focused we can get, the better is going to be the
Mm.
traction. But for the sake of our discussion, let's look at the SaaS community. Okay. So we know that the SaaS community is here, but now we need to look at, hey, for the SaaS community, if you want to be helping them solve some sort of a problem, if you want to identify some sort of an opportunity, what do you think it could be? What are the things that you have seen?
Good question. The problem. Okay. One of the podcasts I follow, right? So what they talk is they have like different kind of, I mean, playlist, I could say. In one playlist they'll talk about what happened in 0 to 10. 0 to 1, and another playlist they'll be talking about 1 to 10 and 10 to 100, right? These are the things. So maybe we can again like go specific and only talk about what happens between 1 to 10, 0 to 1, and help the founders at at that 0 to 1 stage, and give them resources and give them knowledge about what are the other people who crack that 0 to 1.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay. This is a very nice starting point. All right. So, Sudarshan, my question to you is, when something like this already exists,
Mm.
how would you be different? How would you be unique? What are the interesting
Mm.
things that you have that you can combine
Mm.
to make something unique?
Interesting. Maybe one thing I noticed is there is no such podcast in India. Indian ecosystem is now growing, and we don't have enough SaaS podcast in India.
Okay.
I have like few examples, but they're not doing like they're not very well known to the community here. So yeah, this is a space that can be cracked,
Mhm.
and also India is a space where the whole SaaS community is look up to, right? So we kind of do things in a very lean way,
Mhm.
and also this may help them to understand how India works and how Indian SaaS works.
Okay. All right. So, who's your audience? The SaaS community in India or the global SaaS community?
SaaS community in India.
All right. So, we've identified that your hero is the SaaS community. And
Maybe
some.
we can like, yeah, sorry to interrupt. Like
No, go on.
maybe divide that into like primary, secondary, and tertiary audience, like something like that.
Sure. A
Like
good
that. More of
mental.
primary in India. Yeah.
Yeah, a good mental model that can work here is the bullseye diagram, right? So the red hot
Okay.
center would be, let's say, SaaS founders in India who are looking to start their, who are currently running their first SaaS, right? So that is like the hot center. Slightly
Mm.
moved away from there would be SaaS founders in India who are running a business. Slightly more zoomed out
Mm.
is SaaS founders in India. Slightly more zoomed out is people in the SaaS community in India. Even more zoomed out
Mm.
is people in the SaaS community worldwide, right? So depends on how, like, the same concept of primary, secondary, tertiary.
Right.
I
Right.
like this
Mm.
metaphor of zooming in and out, right?
Nice.
It's a lot more visual. All right, so we have that.
Mm.
And the opportunity that you have identified is that, hey, there isn't really that much of high quality stuff focusing on success stories of people who have successfully gone from 0 to 1 in India. Is that correct?
Indeed. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So we have that is the opportunity. Now, this is where we could probably, we would unpack this a little bit more. We'll deconstruct this a little bit more. But since you've already arrived at an opportunity, right, we could apply this framework further and we could say, hey, okay, so if this is what their current world is, a world without this sort of uh, this sort of information available, what does the world look like, right? So then you would say, okay, we could launch this podcast and we could think like that. But I'm going to take a slight tangent here. Okay. The reason for that is because there are two concepts. One is designing the business around this, and the other one
Okay.
is, to actually make what people want, right? Now, in this case, this is the point where you would go out and speak to other SaaS founders. You would do some sort of discovery conversations with them, right? So you are in UI UX, so you understand a little
Right.
bit of concepts of
Mm.
user experience and user research.
Mm.
You would go and explore
Yeah.
the opportunity space, and then you would narrow down and pick a particular opportunity that you want to solve. Then, and this is the important part, and nobody ever does this, but they should be, which is
Okay.
you would go and explore the solution space as well. Right now, you
Mm.
like
Mm.
podcasting, you know the SaaS community. However, during your discovery calls and speaking to customers, you might have discovered that, hey, they really don't want that. What they want is they want to know more about how to reach out to investors and, crack that first thing.
Mm.
So that might have popped up in your problem or the opportunity discovery phase.
Yeah.
Then the
Mm.
solution, you might be thinking podcast, but they'll be like, Acha, nobody has time for podcast and all that. Send me one mail, 5 sentences once a week. That's enough. And give me,
Yeah.
like, let's say,
Mm,
one investor's number that I will pay for.
mm.
Then you say, oh,
Yeah.
I
Okay.
don't even need to do a podcast. I just need to, send one email a week, and that might be beneficial,
Mm,
right? Because let's say you end up interviewing not SaaS founders, but you end up interviewing investors, and then you ask them, "Sir, please tell
mm,
me. I have an audience of 50,000
mm,
founders. They want your golden words of advice. Please tell." And
mm.
so following that process of identifying the opportunity, validating it, thinking up of a solution, validating it, and then building it, right? That's what we would do in this situation. Anyways, so that's what you would do. We
Yeah.
could use the put the player first framework again to design this as a business now. Let's say you have this product that you have is this podcast, which is focused on helping SaaS founders. Now, how could you monetize it, right? So you monetize it when you solve problems for people. Sponsorships are one way, but if you had to go forth, you could say like this podcast is going to be educating people for I don't know, like SaaS founders, first time SaaS founders or something. So you could have like a free version and then a more like you could have behind the scenes content. Maybe you could release like 30-minute episodes for free on Spotify, but then you can invite people, hey, if you want the longer 90-minute unedited version of the podcast, come sign up on Patreon, right? And you can do that. Or, you
Where
can
we'll
invite
talk about politics, sex, and other stuff.
and the other taboo stuff. Yes. So that's there. But now coming back to the content plan, right? I think interviewing someone is by far the
Mm,
most powerful way of creating content, right? And before ChatGPT was a thing, I used to do this. And it's like nowadays, it's like even more ridiculously easy. Okay. I call this fractal content creation. Okay. The way we
okay.
do that is you have this conversation, like even our conversation, right? We have
Yeah.
this. And the ridiculous thing is now there are AI tools which will accept
Mm,
this one video as an input, it will transcribe
yeah.
it, and then it'll automatically slice and dice to give you vertical videos for like Reels or YouTube Shorts or TikTok. It'll give you horizontal videos as the full output that you can upload onto YouTube. It'll
The
give you
AI automatically does that. Like, do
Yes,
we need to give the timestamps and stuff?
we can, but AI does that already.
Mhm.
I believe tools like
Yes.
Veed.io does that,
Okay.
Veed.io.
Mhm. Okay.
Riverside.fm has that as an option as well. Descript
Mhm.
also helps you do that. I'm not certain about
Okay.
Squadcast. I will have to test it out. But there are like a
Right.
bunch of different tools that will do this for you, right?
Mm.
And it's like you literally the only effort that you'll have to do is have conversation with people, ask interesting questions, and go down the different rabbit holes that they pop up with.
You know what? Have you came across this tool called guestlab.io? Guestlab.ai, sorry. Guestlab.ai.
No, I haven't. There's so many tools nowadays, so
Yes.
it's a bit challenging to
Yeah.
keep up with all of them.
Arvind, what happened is today I went to guestlab.ai and put your LinkedIn ID. That's it. Then I
Okay.
got 10 questions I need to ask you.
Awesome. I am curious. What are the questions that popped up?
Actually, I didn't use any of the questions,
Okay.
but that's interesting. Like they charge somewhere like $20.
Uh
I
huh.
checked with my friends. Do I need to buy that or not? But they are coming up with new features, right?
Mm.
What they'll do is they'll take information from your LinkedIn first thing. Secondly, I can even add links to your other podcasts which you got featured.
Mm-hmm.
That is another way. And also I can add your personal website or blog. In all these sources that takes information,
Yeah.
and for now it is only going with that information only. And future I saw a video of that founder speaking at some other podcast. He told that guest lab is in future it will like understand you
Mhm.
as, I mean, if I signed up as Sudarshan's podcast, right?
Mhm.
Then it will transcribe all the information and understand me and what kind of question I ask.
I see.
On the other side, it will understand the guest and ask the right questions, like what kind of questions I will ask
Mhm.
and what kind of questions that can be asked to that particular guest. So
Okay.
it's interesting.
It
Yep.
is. It is. And I've just opened up the
$20 per
website,
month.
and some of the
Yep.
people I really look up to, Kevon, he's a good
Yep.
friend.
Lenny.
Arvid Karl, Letty Rachitsky, right? He's good. Maxwell Davis is a friend as well. Erica is a friend. Karthik.
Oh.
Yeah, a lot of my friends are using bummers. They didn't even tell me about this. I should find out. So thank you for
Hmm.
that. But yes, yeah. So speaking of the the fractal content creation, have an interview, slice it up and down, and it will. There are a bunch of tools that are going to be doing this. But coming back to the other thing, which is to build up your personal brand, right? If you want to be known as a subject matter expert in some space, this is the step-by-step process that I would recommend for you. Of course, if we had longer, we could dive into it. But first, uh, is immerse yourself in this space, right? So that you understand what's actually happening and having conversations just to ask exploratory questions and have more. Uh, and just an exploration of the opportunity space, right? When you're looking at, hey, what's troubling you? What are the biggest challenges? You could just ask everyone. Um, Actually, I'm going to go off another tangent, but you could just, hey, tell me about, what is the biggest challenge you're facing and all that. There is a fantastic book called The Coaching Habit. Okay.
Okay.
I forget the author's
I
name.
never knew that. Okay.
Yeah.
Coaching
It's
habit.
The Coaching Habit. Okay. It will
Right.
not turn
Okay.
you into a coach, but it will give you a fantastic handle on how to ask great questions in an interview, and to lead
Hmm.
by coaching as well. So, bunch of questions from there,
Hmm.
and you can explore that opportunity
Have you read
space.
this book called Mom's Test?
Yeah, it's actually behind me. I think it's over there.
Oh, I didn't see that. Hmm.
Yes, in fact, I've read
Yeah.
two of his three books. I've read the
Hmm.
Workshop Design Survival Guide, the Mom Test,
Hmm.
um, as well as Write Useful Books is the book that I haven't read. But if you're reading the Mom
Hmm.
Test, Continuous Discovery Habits by Teresa Torres, I think, Lean Customer Development by Cindy Alvarez, Running Lean by
Okay.
Ash Maurya. All of these books are like top notch. Also, I'm building out a
Hmm.
course called Make What People Want, which is designed to address the same thing, but I'm using design thinking and coaching techniques to help people build out their products. Right.
Awesome.
So
Awesome.
immerse yourself in the
Yeah.
space, find
Fractal
what you.
content creation. Yeah.
Yeah. So puttheplayerfirst.com/fractal has that entire playbook, including a step-by-step checklist that you can just use. It's
Hmm.
it's not gated. You don't need to sign up for any email, nothing like that. You can get that
Right.
process.
Right. Right. Right.
But yeah, for
Hmm.
your personal brand,
Right.
immerse yourself in the
Hmm.
space, find out the opportunities, keep on having conversations. That's the first phase. Then the next phase
Hmm.
is once you've figured out what is the opportunity, figure out using your podcast as a platform, right? What
Hmm.
is the what is the maximum value you can generate and give to your audience? Sometimes it might be a
Hmm.
product, sometimes it might be a service,
Hmm.
sometimes it might be a
Hmm.
community, because I think that is the context in which you and I know each other from, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
That might be a good angle for you to proceed with that. And as you do this, right, so
Hmm.
you'll realize that, oh, okay, you have to put the player first framework and you become the guide. Then your understanding of who is your hero will evolve over time as you have more and more conversations, because
Hmm.
your definition of the hero will be restricted by the skills, like the weapons that you have to give them, because the weapons will
Hmm.
define what monsters you can fight for them. Let's say if you're in UI
Hmm.
UX, then probably you might want to focus on, let's say, design heads, or you want to focus on
Hmm.
bootstrap founders. And if it's bootstrap founders, then the problems that you can solve for them are very different than, let's say, someone in a Series A, Series B sort of a funding
Yeah.
situation.
Yeah. Yeah.
But using that
Yeah.
framework as a scaffolding to plot out and design your business is perhaps one of the best things that you can do. And for content creation,
Hmm.
podcasts are awesome. But but if you want to make that content that really stands out, right? Like the content that ChatGPT may be able to copy now after I saw their live stream yesterday. But the cool thing is stories. Okay. I don't mean
Hmm.
that shitty stuff that you see on LinkedIn. Hey, my
Hmm.
I went to buy a glass of milk. This is what it taught me about management, right? I'm like, that shit.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I apologize. I don't know if I'm sorry for swearing, but that's how
Go ahead.
strongly.
No worries.
Are you
Hmm.
sure?
Yeah.
because that's like one of the most fucked up shit to ever happen. Okay, so please don't ever, ever, ever do that. Instead,
Mm.
um, I forgot this author's name. The book is called Storyworthy. Okay, and
Okay.
that author, I really wish I remembered his name, but he's got Matthew Dix. That's the author name.
Mm.
Matthew Dix. One of
Nice
those.
name.
Yeah, but he talks about what makes a good story, and he recommends something called a homework for life. Okay, he a story is about a 5 seconds of transformation. I'm paraphrasing here, but any story will have a 5 second of transformation, right? Identifying that transformation is important. Next is homework for life. Every day, you figure out what is that one 5 second moment that happened today that could be turned into a story. For example, today I could talk about the time when I'd taken my dad to a heart checkup today, right? And the doctor, instead of asking me to wait outside, he asked my dad to stay outside. So for me, that 5 second transformation is burden of responsibility has shifted now to me from my dad. So that's one thing. Yesterday it could be that my daughter, in front of everybody, she just came, like when I was in some meeting, she came, she wiggled a bum and she went off. Normally people will be mortified, like, what is this? But now, for me, the thing is that one, my daughter is like, there are multiple stories there. My daughter is comfortable enough to come and do that. Two, I'm comfortable enough that it happens in a situation where even if it happens on camera, it's not a problem for me, right? So that
Mm.
realization that, hey, I am the captain of the ship, of my ship, I am the master of my soul.
Mm.
That's an important realization that's happened. So I can take that, and again I can extract a story from it, right? So you tell a story, you
Mm.
connect it to something you're selling, and then you sell it. That would be awesome.
Understood. Yep. Interesting. Right.
Yeah.
In between, yeah, like you told, of course, like this is like very common stuff, right? Like
Hmm.
podcasts, like make it to do like a small piece of content and stuff.
Hmm.
I'll attach that link in the description. Puttheplayerfirst.com/fractal
Fractal.
so that yep, listeners who are listening to it might get in context about what we are talking. I think we spoke enough about that. And like, what do you think about personal email, Arvind? This is something I recently heard. I think you are also writing an email every day.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Every single day.
So,
And I sell something to
mm,
my email list every single day.
so what you will write every day, and do you think everyone is reading it? And how many people are in your email list?
I have a very tiny list. I have a list of about 200 people, but I have roughly 45 to 50% open rates for a daily email, which is
Wow.
ridiculously awesome. I have a lot of churn as well because I do send out like a daily email blast. The past 3 weeks, I've been taking a break because I'm dealing with some stuff. But the kind of stuff that I put, like my dad's story, right? Literally every single email of mine comes in one of two flavors, right? So one is like direct teaching. Okay, here are 15 marketing projects that you must do. Okay,
Mm.
list of 15. Or here is a video that I made that explains the put the player first framework. Here you go. So that's one kind of emails where I'm doing full on teaching. The other kind of email is something that takes the story segue sale method, right? And that story is like, for example, right? Here's an example of a story I would say. Uh, hey, Macha. I start my mails with Macha only. It's my trademark thing.
Okay.
It's a very
Nice.
Bangalore agency thing.
Mm.
But yeah, what happens is like, hey, Macha, today I taken like this is literally what I would put in the email. And my process of writing this email is to narrate something into audio pen, get that transcript, not even the edited version, just take that transcript, paste it into ConvertKit, and send. Right. So I would say today I had gone to Spurs Hospital with my dad for our annual checkup. I was already, very like very, very nervous and agitated because I was like about 5, 6 months late compared to my previous checkup, and I should have gone. But we were there because my dad had some sort of like chest pain, and we wanted to make sure that there is no problem. I'd been
Right.
there,
Right.
and it was a long day, and towards the end of the day, around like maybe 2:33 or something, we were finally called in. We had finished all the tests and all the checkups, and finally called in. And after looking at all of this, the doctor's like, Arvind, you sit here. Sundar sir, you go wait outside. And dad's like, what? I was like, what? That's when I realized that, there is a moment when responsibility shifts from one person to another. And that moment is very important. Right? Now, why am I telling you all of this? It's because that's exactly how a sale happens as well. Because when you think about it, online, people often talk about the hard sell. They're like, you have to buy this now. They have the countdown clocks and all that crap. But the moment you approach your sales in a way where the responsibility of making that decision is on your customer and it's not on you, where you are making them an offer, which is like you're showing them, hey, this is there. If you want it, you buy it. You're shifting that responsibility from you to them. It might result in lower sales, but it will also result in customers who are more invested. And if you want to learn how to do this, sign up for my coaching at puttheplayerfirst.com. So you see, I told a story, I connected it to something I'm selling, and then I gave them a call to action to go to this place and buy my coaching services. So Storyworthy tells me how to find the stories. This technique that I've invented, story segue sale, is something that I've improved upon. It's not originally mine. I improved upon it from learning from other direct response email marketers, Ben Settle to be precise. And I've made it my own. Now I make a sale every single day. So yeah, that's some good stuff.
That's interesting. Yeah. Yeah. So recently we kind of like came across this term called founder-led sales, but it's been there for ages, right? But of course, also this personal branding, of course, it's been there for ages. Now we call it, give it a name and sell it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So like, what do you think? Like for founder-led sales, this personal branding is marketing for them.
Yes.
So how important is for any founder or anyone who is building something to have a personal brand via anything, podcast, newsletter, maybe go out and talk, run a community, anything, like how important is that?
So I'm going to rephrase your question a little bit so that I can answer it better. A personal brand is good. Distribution is better. Okay. What I mean by that is brand, like I said, you're known for something. Distribution means that you can actually get in front of other people and you can have conversations with them. Just today in an ADHD founders WhatsApp group that I run, we were having a discussion about marketing versus distribution versus sales versus product. Right? You obviously need all four of them to make sense. But the idea was that when you're starting out as a founder, you need to understand the market, right? So which requires you to go and speak to customers. That's there. And for you to identify what is your brand and your strategy, your customers will be the ones that will be informing you, especially when you're going from the 0 to 1. You can definitely do some research. You can improve your odds of success by following the, like opportunity space, solution space thing that we discussed earlier. So coming back to this, a founder needs to be able to make sales, right? If they can't sell, how can they expect others to sell for them? I will, however, hedge my answer by saying I do not know how it will work for deep tech, products. Like if somebody was talking about, hey, I'm going to be selling photogrammetry and stuff like that, I'm like, good for you, mate. I can't help you there. But what I know is like outside of deep tech, if you're going into B2B or B2C, as a founder, you better be able to sell. And selling is not that hard. There's a fantastic book by Neil Rackham called Spin Selling, which is a great way to handle B2B sales. And Never Split the Difference by Mr. Voss, I think. Again, it teaches you about negotiation. I think you read those two books, you're pretty much golden when it comes to selling.
Awesome. Right. But why not deep tech again? I have.
That's because I don't know much about deep
Of course,
tech.
it's not for everyone, right? Imagine if a deep tech founder is selling his product to his prospect who know what they're buying, right? Like
I would assume so, but I have like zero experience
Mm-hmm.
with that. So I don't have that much of
Mm.
hubris to comment. So I will hedge my answer.
Mm. Got it. Right. So I think we are at the end. So what will you say for other people who is creating out, who is building something out there, and yeah, like who is storytellers? I mean, this is some very vague question, but I kind of whatever I said, that is you, and
Yeah.
I kind of see different people out there who is doing all this, like creator, builder, and
Yeah.
also who is a storyteller. Yeah.
Yeah.
What
Oh, I like
advice you will
this.
say to them?
Oh, I like this distinction you have, man. Creator, builder, storyteller. I will think on that more. But for these people,
Mhm.
um, I'm going to first address the creators, right? There is a very
Mhm.
fantastic quote by Ira Glass, the producer of the American show. I think it's called Serial. And I'm paraphrasing the quote, which says, like, when you're getting into a particular field, whether it is podcasting, video, or Instagram, whatever, you're getting in there because you have a certain taste. You like something and you have a certain taste. But when you get in, when you get started, you suck. Full stop. Right? Your skill does not match your taste. Right? Now, for your skill to match that taste, what you got to do is you have to put in the reps. You have to keep on putting in that effort to continuously and slowly get in as many iterations as possible until your skill can match your taste. And only then, and this is me adding my bit, you will be
I'm
able to
still
ship
trying.
something.
Yeah.
Yeah. Me too. Me too. In
Mm.
2019, like I still remember December 31st, 2018, I was on Instagram and I said, like, hey, you know what? Every day of 2019, I'm going to be making a video on Insta. It was super hard. And I was like, the first video was like 30 minutes long. By the end of it, I could whip out 59-second videos on the dot, specially focused on a
Mm.
specific topic like marketing or something like that. So until your skill matches that taste, keep on iterating. That's the thing that I'll tell. And for builders, um, it's much, much, much easier to make what people want as opposed to making people want what you have built. So just remember that difference.
Mhm.
Make shit people want. Don't make people want shit. That's what I would say.
Nice. Mm. What I mean, like, of course, I think you have covered the storyteller side also. You came up with
Mhm.
the story.
Yeah.
Mm.
Stories. Read that book,
Yeah,
Storyworthy. That's the only thing I would tell storytellers.
story worthy.
Yeah. Oh
Right.
God.
And
Best
what
best
about
investment.
one more thing?
Mhm.
Yeah, one more thing I wanted to ask. What about being humorous or like being energetic? I find few people, right, in my office or like in my friends circle, whenever they have this habit of making a serious thing sounds easy, sounds fun. So I know that you are such person. Like, do you think everyone should have that? I mean, ability to like make a serious thing into nothing.
No. However, I do believe that
Mm.
there is an underlying skill called charisma that everyone should have. Charisma will manifest in different ways in different people. For me, the archetype that's there is that of humorous and funny, right? But others will have gravitas and things like that. Others would, lead by stoic leadership and being dependable. Different people have
Mm.
different ways of leading and influencing others, right?
Mm.
And it will take some time and effort to figure out what is that style.
Mm.
I have tried being that serious type, can't stick.
Okay. What
It
happened?
doesn't work.
Didn't
Doesn't
work,
work.
huh?
Jahan se
Mm.
la-
Mm. Mm.
But
Mm.
this is me. I'm happy, and this works
Okay.
for me. Different people will have different
Mm.
things, so it's up to us to figure out which one works for us.
Got it. Yes. Good episode. Good
Yes.
stories. I think I
Thank you.
should re-listen to this and kind of, I mean, steal some stories from you and use that in coming episodes.
Thank you
Yep.
so much
Thanks,
for this
Arvind.
opportunity as well, Macha. Really do appreciate it.
Yes,
Okay.
we'll join for a drink very soon.
Thank you so much, Matt. We'll catch up soon. Bye.
Yeah.